the first thing that I wouldn't go do is try to start a business or a side hustle or whatever. Like the first thing you got to do, because this should be a step of like, you're going to change your life. You're going to bring yourself out of the position that you're in where you're not really making a lot of money, and you want to start making a lot of money. But I would say like the first step is not to go, well, I don't really have any money. I don't make any money. I'm going to go try this new thing that I don't know anything about. Like that's the dumbest thing you could possibly do. And a lot of you try, that's your MO. Like you have no money and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go start this new thing that I know nothing about. And that's just like that's gonna put you in a position where you're gonna be so limited on all the things that you can actually access, all the things that you can do. The better thing to do for yourself and for to achieve higher success and get a higher chance success rate is go get a job that's going to produce some type of money and start putting that money aside until you have enough money to actually put into some form of marketing. I think the best thing to do is just go straight into doing some type of pay per click marketing, or doing some type of pay per lead. I think it's going to save you more time. You're going to get higher quality leads. The bottom line is the people that in this business that are making money now are the people that can actually learn how to underwrite the deal and how to actually acquire the deal. It used to be before, the whole thing that the whole skill set that was the most like valuable skill set, in this industry was before was like, oh, who can talk to sellers the smoothest or the most reliable. I think if you can effectively underwrite a deal now, and if you can actually acquire a real off-market property for a buyer, you're probably like 10 steps ahead of everybody else, who can just talk to people. Because you can just talk to people and you don't have any money to actually like put the sellers in front of you and actually understand how to underwrite the deals, then you're just going to be talking on the phone for a living. So I mean, like it used to be like, yeah, the closers used to be like the most like, sought after skill set in this business. I think the most sought after skill set now in this business really is the person that can underwrite and the top tier marketers. The top tier marketers are the ones that are making the most amount of money, not the top tier closers anymore. It's, this business has changed a lot. So, there's really no need to cold call to build the skill set. Like, go buy higher quality leads, do some type of pay per lead, or do some type of pay per click marketing, and put yourself in that position to where you can save yourself some time and just learn how to really effectively underwrite these deals. If you get in front of the right seller, if you get in front of the right situation, you don't have to be a 100% like all smooth talker. I mean, I can whittle this out. Like all you have to do is just present them with the numbers, and it's either going to work or it's either going to not. But you're not going to know how to present those numbers if you don't know how to underwrite, and you're not effectively marketing to the right sellers. So if you can learn those two skills, and you can just put yourself in front of the right people, underwrite the deal the right way, then finding a buyer won't be a problem. Getting a deal won't be a problem. But I just think a lot of you guys are just worried about like the wrong shit.
So let's talk about some ways that we can effectively market. I know that you're telling us, we need to go out and get the money, to actually be able to invest into pay per click or pay per lead ads. And obviously, one of the ways to do that is to go get a job. You know what I'm saying? But once you have the money, where is it that you would go to invest that money? How do you actually spend the money to get some sort of result? How do you get in front of the motivated sellers? How do you market correctly?
I mean, I think that that's up to you to understand and do that research. You know what I mean? Like take that time while you're sitting there acquiring that money. Take all the extra time that you have and learn how to learn what an effective marketing strategy is. Like learn everything you can about it. Like YouTube the fuck out of everything that you're doing. Um, Out of all the time that you have to try to learn as much as you possibly can, about how to effectively market, whether it means you're going to run your own ads, like run your own stuff, I mean, or you're actually going to, pay for somebody else's system. I just think that like cold calling, SMS, that type of stuff, like now, I just think it's becoming more and more of a waste of time, a higher risk, and the amount of time that it's going to take you to get yourself in front of that lead, to actually get them to turn around. Like there's no cold calling list that is the best list to where you're literally going to be able to just like call a list and get a deal out of that list like within 30 days. That list, you're going to have to whittle down that list for 2 to 3 months before you actually turn one of those leads into a deal. Um, it just takes time. It takes a lot of time to create um, opportunity, out of a cold call list. And I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make is they'll do a cold calling list and they'll be like, oh well, I made $0 or I got zero leads or whatever. But like the thing is they don't have any follow up system. They don't have any type of like, you know, any type of methodology of like reaching back out to these people on a consistent basis. And so therefore when, they go and call for the list and no one actually wants to sell for the right price right then, and they kind of give up and they just go on to another list. Oh, I need another list. You know what I mean? But like a list can build into a lot of leads, and they can actually um, be super, have a lot of value inside of them, but they take a lot of time. So I would just say that, if you're really gonna like do cold calling, expect to be pushed out for 2 to 3 months before any one of those leads even turns into a deal. Because none of that stuff is ever gonna be a one call close. That's always gonna be something that takes 2 to 3 months to actually like transition into an actual deal anyways. So if you want that deal now, if you want to save yourself time, then spend a little bit of extra money to put yourself, in that position, what I mean, to where you can actually spend money on a pay per lead system or something like that. Um, that's just, my personal opinion. I think that people spend, I like, for me, like I spent too much time just doing all the wrong shit. I was just, like going on Zillow, looking at, for sale by owners and all this stuff, or I was, trying to, reach out to people who had failed listings. It's like, cause I didn't want to like spend the money. I didn't want to like risk the money. But as soon as I risked the money, then I started to get real leads and then I started to get real deals. If you don't have the money and you don't want to go get a job, then just go work for somebody else, you know what I mean? And just start learning the business that way and get paid. But, I just talk to too many people on a regular basis. They're like, oh well, I don't really have a job, I'm not really making any money right now. It's in them they don't want to fix that problem and they think wholesaling is going to fix the issue. It's like, no new skill is ever gonna like make you go from broke to rich overnight. It's gonna be something you're gonna have to build up over time. So, you got to be able to withstand that time somehow. But the quickest way to a deal is to go to some type of like inbound lead. There's a lot of pay per lead, um, programs out there. So, I would just like try to like ask around, ask, who's using what, are you using a pay per lead service? You know what I mean? Like, and I think that that's honestly, that could be, probably one of the better options for a lot of people out there, is to do something, a pay per lead service.
Hey, could I ask a question real quick in regards to that, obtaining leads and stuff?
Sure.
I actually just got a phone call, like, I don't know, probably like 10 minutes ago, from one of those guys that, like, they make ads and stuff and all that. And I was talking to him about creating a website and then having him advertise that website, kind of like an inbound lead website where people can go and just input information about their property with their contact information, then I can go and give them a call. Is that something you would recommend, or?
I mean, like, there's a methodology to like attracting the right type of lead, what I mean, through, web form. You can get leads. It doesn't mean they're gonna actually be interested. People fill out shit literally just to like, just for like the fuck of it or whatever. Like, there's so many people that just fill out shit, literally just because they're bored, or I don't know why they do it, but whatever reason they do it, it's irrelevant. The whole bottom line is just like, you have to make sure that whatever method that you're using, that it is something that actually, is bringing in the right type of leads. So, you don't just want like, anybody like, any, you know, any person out there, any bum like on the side of the street filling out a lead just because they have a cell phone. You know what I mean? Um, they have to be qualified somehow, and there's a format to qualifying those people.
Yeah, I got you. So you want to target certain individuals in a certain market, certain groups.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to, you don't want to be like super broad, like, what I mean, like just all over the place. You got to be like specific. It has to be like something like qualifying. Like they have to like they have to be inputting some sort of like energy into the form that they're filling out too. Just because like you can't just put a form up being like, oh, like sell your house for cash, like want to sell your house for cash, just put your name, email, and phone number here, and I'll reach out to you. Like you that's like you're just gonna get a bunch of tire kickers filling out your lead, like who don't even really want to sell. Like they're just gonna be like, oh, I just saw your ad, or they just never answer the phone, or whatever it is. So I mean, there's a lot of that. So
Got it. Thank you for the feedback, Dan. Appreciate that.
We got
So
a.
Dan,
Go ahead.
um, so going back to what you were saying, like about getting leads and it, pay per click and whatnot. But like like Pace and like Brent will tell you, drive for dollars. Find those houses that look distressed. Get the address, or knock on their door. If they don't answer, maybe leave a note, a handwritten note with your number, um, or skip trace it and call them. You don't think that works at all?
I mean, it could. It's just that like I think that's outdated, just because I think the whole idea before was like wholesaling was not oversaturated. And so therefore like there weren't people like just like buying and like getting all these lists and doing all this form of cold calling and cold outreach to people. But so therefore, the idea was driving with dollars is you could be so specific, you know what I mean? Like maybe you could have a lead that no one else has, you know what I mean? Just because it might not be on a list or it might not do it. Everything's on a fucking list now. They're on somebody's list somewhere. So the odds of you finding somebody now driving through a neighborhood that is not on somebody's list, and the amount of houses that you would have to drive by, write down, then skip trace. I mean, if you want to drive for 6 7 hours a day around neighborhoods and and gather ugly house information, like you can. But the bottom line is like if you're gonna do that, you might as well just door knock. You have to be doing something that's making you different than everybody
Right.
else. And so
I
like
mean, and that's
there's if
it
you want to
too.
door knock, like then I would say, yeah, I would say if you're willing to go door knock and you're willing to do, like 100 houses a day, then maybe it makes sense because no one else is doing that. But like if you just go right down a house and skip trace it and call them, I guarantee you they've already been contacted by somebody else already. Like there's no way that their house, if you noticed it enough to like write their house down on something, to like go and give them a call, somebody else has that house already. Like they either have them on a high equity list, they have them on a pre foreclosure list, they have them on something. Everybody, like I was literally walking past the guy in Publix the other day, and he got a cold call on his cell phone while I'm walking past him, and I could literally hear him in the background. Like he's like, "No, I don't want to sell my house. Get the take me off your fucking list." So it's like literally everybody is getting cold called now. If you own a house, you're getting cold called.
Right. I mean, most of them say that, like, but you have to be someone who's willing to speak to them differently to get their attention. There's going to be competition out there regardless, one way or another. So it
Yeah,
comes
but
down to,
why would you add extra time then? Like, why would you waste your time driving around a neighborhood, like, to add next to
well,
yourself? You might
I'm
as well just
saying
pull it.
like it would
Like, you
in
if
that
you're relying though, if you're relying on the conversation method, then you might as well just pull their list of the same way that everybody else is pulling their list. What made driving for dollars specifically like different before was the fact that maybe no one else was calling that person, so you might have a list that no one else has. But like if you're just relying on the fact of like, oh well, you have to talk to them different, well, but the way that you require them, like, you need to be saving yourself some type of time. Otherwise, like,
right. Well,
you're
I'm
gonna
just
get
saying, like,
burnout.
you're saying if for some, like you were saying, you got to have money, but there are those people that really don't have that money. But say they're driving home from work and they have a decent commute and they have the opportunity to zigzag through neighborhoods and catch these houses.
And
Yeah, maybe
then go
somebody
door
did
knock on the
call
house
them.
because no one else is doing that. But if you write that down and you go skip trace that house, you're literally disadvantaging yourself now, is what I'm saying. Like, if you have a
Mm,
list of only 10 ugly houses and you skip trace that list, you're significantly disadvantaged from the person that literally just pulls a list off the internet and just calls that same list because they're on somebody else's list, is what I'm saying. Along
well,
though
yeah,
with like 5, 6,000 other houses. So you're disadvantaging yourself by just writing down 10 homes and trying to call that person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's could it happen? Could it lead to a deal? Yes. But is it highly improbable? Yes. So it's like you got to increase your success rate. You got to increase your ability to reach out to people fast. And if you're going to save yourself time, then you have to spend a little bit of money. And the best way to get your return on investment back the quickest is to save yourself more time. The reason people like fail in this business is because they go 2 to 3, 4 months out and they still haven't even gotten a contract on paper because they can't even really talk to like the right person because they're not even pulling enough leads. They're not having enough conversations. So
Well,
like I think realistically you just need to like, if you don't have money, that's fine, but you can go get money. Like, there is several ways that you can go and get money. If you say that I don't have money, I can't go get money, I can't spend money, you're limiting yourself somehow.
right.
Somehow you're limiting yourself. So if you don't have money, the first step is don't go start a business. Go get a job. Now, you can go get a job in this industry if you want. I really wouldn't recommend that because I don't really think there's too many companies out there that are actually 100% stable right now. So I'm not sure if that's the smartest thing to do at the moment. But like, if you want to go get a job specifically in this industry, then you can, or you can go get a job doing something else. My recommendation to people is go get something that you can make money and cash overhand fast so that you can spend that cash and try to get your return on investment back the quickest.
Got you. I'm not advocating for any specific way. I'm just asking questions, you know, hoping it will help others. I understand many of the processes. I'm just specifically not targeting wholesaling myself. So,
No, I know, Patsy. I know what you're doing.
you know, so
all right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's the time we've got for tonight. Dan, I appreciate you for coming on and sharing. Um, feel free if you choose to stick around. Unfortunately, I gotta hop up out of here. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the number one most valuable real estate community in existence. If you haven't already, please consider inviting somebody you think would benefit from being in proximity with us. Send them that link, reirev.com.